Hey everyone, how's it going? Yeah? So I missed, were people raising their hands about the CBD for dogs thing, or, okay. Okay, cool. Anyway, well, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about accessibility and inclusive design. And I'm here today with Jay Banfield. He's the Chief Officer of Innovation at YearUp, and Tones Porter, Head of Design at Blend, Allison Shaw, Senior Design Manager at Zendesk, and Srin Madipalli, Product Manager at AirBnB. And so I kind of wanted to kick this off with just hearing from everyone, like when you think of accessibility and inclusivity in design, like what that brings up for you, and then how that kind of forms your decision. So Allison, let's start with you.
Sure. I tend to think about diversity and inclusion and accessibility as all kind of part and parcel to the design process. We are empathetic people. Design is a very empathetic job. It's a very empathetic action to take. And so ensuring that we are addressing everybody is really job number one. So it's just part of it.
Yeah. Srin?
From my side, sort of accessibility and sort of inclusive products is very much about building products that anyone can use, sort of clearly. And sort of from my perspective, I guess my focus is very much on disability and accessibility in a very sort of targeted way. So I work on the part of the product that helps people with accessibility needs use Airbnb. So for me, and very much within the sort of the travel segment, it is very much about creating a platform that hopefully one day anyone, regardless of their accessibility needs, can use the product and travel anywhere.
Tones?
Yeah, so at Blend, we're really interested in bringing simplicity and transparency to consumer finance. So when you think about accessibility in the financial services industry, it's really about how do we widen the aperture for people of all backgrounds to really get access to the products that they need to lead better lives. So when you think about the population who may be underbanked, how do you really meet them where they're at, whether that's mobile or whether that's really sort of guiding them through the right journeys towards their financial goals.
Sure.
Yeah, Megan, our work at YearUp, we're focused on attaching opportunity youth, 18 to 24-year-olds who are systemically disconnected from the workforce and education and networks that people use to build careers. And we help to bring that talent to bear with companies that are in this room here who are looking for talent. So I think it's we kind of approach it from a macro level, is that if we can diversify the workforces of a Facebook and a Salesforce, that influences the products and it reflects the customers that those companies are working towards. So that's our philosophy.
So I wanted to go back to you, Srin. And so you sold your company, Accomable, to Airbnb in 2017?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. And so can you talk a little bit about what it's been like bringing your product, bringing your company and your team to Airbnb and what that's led to within Airbnb?
Sure, and just by way of background, Accomable was a travel platform that I started in 2015 that was purpose-built for travelers with disabilities or accessibility needs. And so when we were acquired by Airbnb, the mission and vision was very much to integrate our work within the wider platform. At Accomable, I think we've done a great job of sort of pioneering a load of novel solutions. But for me, to really have the impact that we wanted to have and take sort of accessible travel to a global level, our work had to sit within sort of a global travel platform. And so in the sort of 18 months that I've been at Airbnb, it's been an incredible experience. We have a new team, a dedicated set of resources focused on this very one specific problem. I think it's also been really fascinating that to do this at scale with an established travel platform creates a lot of challenges. The world of accessibility, sort of in the sharing economy, is still an emerging and developing area. Also, as a travel company, accessibility does have different standards in different parts of the world, and trying to sort of reconcile all these very unique challenges into a usable product it's something I have absolutely loved and enjoyed. I think we are still on a journey, and there's whenever I do community talks and events with disability communities around the world, we do sort of say this is sort of a 3 to 5 year journey, maybe to get things to the stage where I've sort of always envisioned. So I think in a nutshell, it's been a great and exciting experience, but also with a lot of interesting problems to solve.
Yeah, and so since joining, you've actually added some accessibility features and filters to the platform, right?
Yes, exactly. So before at Airbnb, there was just one box called wheelchair accessible. And that sort of begs the question, what does wheelchair accessible mean? That can mean so many different things. And so the work had begun just before anyway, but what effectively we finished executing on was unbundling that one filter and turning it into 27 different things. Everything from, is there step-free entrance to the different parts of the home, different spaces of the home, in the bathroom, are there grab rails, are there roll-in showers, is there a handle by the bathtub? And then even taking it one step further, where we allow our hosts to provide really granular information in every part of their home, should they have it, on the basis that everybody's accessibility needs are different, and also every home is different. So, I live in an apartment in San Francisco. Actually, it's not that accessible. I make it work for me. Other people it probably could work for, but maybe others it doesn't. So if I was to list, it's making sure that I can convey the information I have in my apartment, so that a guest can make a decision themselves as to whether this home would work for them. And then finally, we do a lot of host education and outreach as well, where we train our hosts on how to take good photographs. So in this year, we've done, I think, nearly 25 different places in some of our top performing cities. We've got some of our best hosts in a room, done empathy building workshops with them around accessibility and disability, and really kind of, get them understanding about the importance of some of these issues and how they can create a great experience for a traveler. So just from my own personal perspective, traveling to as many different places as I have, you just learn what makes a good experience. So even if the home is great, we want to make sure that even our hosts feel like they can provide that great experience as well. So it really has touched everything from technology to operations to policy. And actually, something I sort of advocate strongly for, that tech is just the beginning bit, right? That's just to get started. It's got to also be tied into all the other functions that are part of this as well.
Nice. Yeah, and so, Allison, Zendesk is obviously a very different platform from Airbnb, but how is it that you've been able to implement some accessible and more inclusive features into the product?
Sure. So for those that don't know, Zendesk makes customer support software, and that means that our work is all about creating relationships from business people to their customers. People who work together use it as well. So the angle that we have taken at Zendesk is that, so I work on the design system, which is the thing that powers the user interface across all of our products. And we've decided to take a really centralized approach to accessibility specifically. So all of the work that comes out of my team is tested. It is verified to be actually accessible for people who are using all kinds of assistive technology, whether that's a screen reader or they're doing zooming. We've done a lot of work on our color palettes to make sure that those are accessible for folks who have vision and contrast issues. But it's also about building a team that has diversity in it, so that all of the experiences that we bring to bear on this product are representative of our customer base. And we think that that's really important because we are making software for people the world over. Everybody has a different experience, whether that's cultural, personal, or whether or not they're living with a disability. And so making sure that we can bring that in anywhere and everywhere, but especially at the beginning of the process, is really important for us.
Yeah, and tones. So with Blend, it's about lending and financial inclusivity, and then is there also more of an accessibility angle to it?
Sure. Yeah. When you think about barriers to entry, financial services for a lot of people is kind of a black box. You're not really sure what you qualify for or what products are available to you. Most people's experience is going through the process of getting a mortgage or getting a credit card or an auto loan. And they tend to go to their banks and receive information. And so we believe sort of reducing those barriers to entry really means being transparent about people's financial profiles, what their data means and what it can power for them towards their financial goals. So for us, it's really about giving people the confidence in understanding their financial profile and providing them that clear path to access. In terms of specifically accessibility, it's something that we've baked into our platform from the beginning, and it's pretty remarkable to, as a designer, you mentioned empathy, which is sort of core to a designer. We have a real-time feedback of people using our application, and it's always super heartwarming to hear anecdotes of people who, a veteran with a disability who's not able to leave his home, who's able to apply online and really move through that process, or someone who's blind and usually relies on a family member to help out, but was able to do this on their own because of things like screen readers and those types of accessibility measures. So it's something that accessibility means a lot of things. For us, it's how do we reduce those barriers to entry so that people can just be really in touch and lead their financial futures.
And so Jay, I mean, YearUp services thousands of students per year, would you say?
4,000 per year.
4,000, nice. And so how do you address these students' varying abilities?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and Megan, just before I answer that, I was going to say, we think about accessibility in terms of how do you access the labor market, and we think about how do we remove barriers, sometimes intentionally and actually more often unintentionally put in place. What I mean by that is, if we look at job postings, almost all job postings require a 4-year degree, but I think if we really to think about it, not every job requires a 4-year degree. And by doing that, you actually exclude 2/3 of Americans. So 2/3 of Americans over 25 do not have a 4-year degree. And when you do that, you also exclude immediately 82% of Latinx and 75% of African American, Black Americans. So I don't think that's an intentional thing that happens in our economy. It's a proxy that we use for talent, but I think it's an overly blunt proxy. So we're trying to educate employers about skills and thinking about skills differently. And so we've served 25,000 young people over the last 19 years. So we've got a lot of IP built up over that time. And now we're trying to translate those products and empowering employers through an employer diagnostic tool to see whether they have opportunity youth-friendly hiring practices. We also have something called design labs, so maybe we could bring some of the designers in to do 2 or 3 day design sessions to look at talent pipelines and not just the traditional university recruiting, but the alternative pipelines of talent. So we're thinking about how do we scale from the serving 25,000 to impacting the way that companies hire to influence hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people in our country.
Yeah, and backstage you mentioned the 7-second resume.
Yeah.
And so how are you going about trying to even just make the hiring process more inclusive?
Yeah, so we were talking, besides talking about CBD, backstage we were talking about something we call 7-second resumes, which is this idea that on average an HR professional will look at a resume for 7 seconds, and if that happens, what are you looking for? You're looking for where you went to school and where you worked, which means you're excluding a vast pool of talent in the United States. And so what we're trying to highlight is that there are experiences in our lives. So if a young person's made it through foster care or homelessness or other challenges that many of us have faced, that is an incredibly important skill for an employer. And so in 7 seconds, how would you describe yourself? And I would venture a guess if we did this on this panel, we wouldn't say where we went to school and where we worked. We would say something that was meaningful to how we became who we are. And so trying to highlight those underappreciated skills of grit, resilience, and persistence. And you can do that in 7 seconds. And if you go to gradsoflife.org, which is an initiative that we've been spearheading, you can see a great gallery of 7-second resumes.
Yeah, and I think when we look at product design and even just the tech industry at large, I mean, they're across all these companies that are represented on stage, there are social and systemic barriers in place that make it hard to achieve some of your product goals and for people to achieve the lives that they want to live. And so yeah, Tones, can you talk a little bit about some of those systemic barriers that are in place and how Blend is trying to tackle them?
Sure. I mean, as I mentioned, there's a wide population of Americans who are underbanked. And when we think about underbanked, that just means sort of limited access to traditional financial services like credit cards or loans. And so for us, again, it's really about meeting those people where they can learn what is available to them. And so for us, it's how do we give people sort of sound, transparent guidance in terms of what they can qualify for and what can help them lead sort of better lives. I think for most people, there might be a fear of going to their bank, or there might be a sort of uncertainty of how to interact or engage with this process. There's notoriously bias in credit decisions and all these sort of systemic issues. And so we really believe that data technology can power an unbiased, sort of more wholly inclusive environment.
And Srin, we definitely talked a little bit about this backstage as well, but just some of the barriers in place that make it hard for even for you to achieve what you're trying to achieve at Airbnb.
Yeah, completely. And I moved over from London to San Francisco in January last year, and I think one of the things that really caught me by surprise was I think some of the very unique systemic challenges that people with disabilities face in the US compared to other sort of developed nations. And as we sort of talked about, Megan, I think a lot of that comes from, there isn't the same sort of state support that people with disabilities do get in other countries. So for instance, I actually don't think I would have been able to start my company in the US because I need 24/7 nursing and care support. In the UK, all of that is provided by the state. So I could leave my job and have that care support where I could work 24/7. Or in other jobs I've had in the past, if I can't use public transport, the state will pay for a taxi to come pick me up and take me to work every day. Whereas those kinds of systemic structural forms of support and investment is usually kind of done on a very, either it's non-existent or it's left to discretionary individual support from organization to organization, which doesn't create systemic change, right? Because it becomes idiosyncratic.
And so do you have any tips for people who are trying to maybe build more inclusivity into their products and services?
Yes, it's something very easy. Go speak to people with disabilities. There are lots of people here. They are ready to help. I think it sometimes concerns me when stating the obvious, actually people sometimes get surprised by it. But when I actually first got here, so my usual thing, wherever I go, I try to reach out to local community groups, do talks. We in the Bay Area, so a lot of times we run open house events where they can come meet my team. And what has been startling is people saying, actually, wow, you guys are the first actually coming out and talking about how to use the product. So we'll get the app out, we'll get them testing things, get feedback. And that was, to me, it felt very just, this is the standard thing to do. But when people are saying this is new and novel, that was slightly alarming because it shouldn't be new and novel. So yeah, I urge anyone here working in the product and tech world, there are so many people and organizations here. Go test stuff with them, and you'll get tons of amazing feedback.
Yeah, and Allison, I mean, so can you talk about some of the, even just for the next 12 months, what are some of the things that you're trying to do and achieve at Zendesk in terms of inclusivity and accessibility?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a couple of main kind of activities that we're trying to make standard. The first one is training for people. The second one is user research, so exactly what you were saying just now. And the third one is making it part of the standard process. So our team has kind of demonstrated the success that the process we're following can bring when it comes to digital accessibility, but now we need to work with the rest of the engineering organization as well as the product management and design organizations to get that built into our timelines so that we can realize the gains that will come from it. The main message that I try to espouse all the time is that accessible design is good design, and good design is accessible design. If something is really well designed, it is most likely going to be more understood by a wider range of people, and that becomes even more true the more audiences that you're researching with and the audiences that you're testing with.
And so I actually wanted to open it up to the audience to see if any of you had any questions for the panelists. Yeah, all right, going once, going twice, okay. In the back there? Yeah. Oh. I don't think
this is on. Oh,
there we go.
how do you deal with all the legislative differences in all these various countries, and just how does that affect the way that you think about how you're going to approach problems?
I can take this from a much higher level than something that's regulated like financial industries, and in some cases, like air travel is definitely regulated. But when it comes to digital accessibility, essentially aim for the highest thing possible, and then you're covered. So that way you don't have to worry about going back and remediating if something else comes up. The W3C, which is the standards making organization for the internet, has the web content accessibility guidelines. Those are issued, they're easy to follow. They are very accessible themselves. And so if you build and design with those specifications in mind, you're going to be fine in almost all cases.
Did you want to chime in?
Yeah, I guess from my side, the bulk of sort of, our hosts are just sort of private individuals and private homes where, accessibility legislation that normally applies to commercial grade inventory doesn't really kind of affect. But again, same thing, we've gone above and beyond where what we do is we focus on all the different types of things a home could possibly have. And actually, it's less about, the rules or whatever. It's more about what is going to create a great experience and what could be in a potential home that somebody may need in order to have to be able to use that home. So again, as Allison said, it's focusing on like what makes a great accessible experience rather than sort of less about sort of codes.
Hello. Hi. So Allison, my name's Jules. You sparked a question for me, which was you mentioned you're trying to formalize and make it more of a standardized thing that people need to care about across Zendesk. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering for those of us that don't have that and it's more of an opt-in if you happen to be excited and you're willing to drop other urgent priorities, how do you get that momentum when maybe other teams, they're focused on the near term? Like if I wanted to make a case like you're doing, like where would you begin?
Yeah. There's kind of two angles of approach here. There's the top-down approach, which is get executive level buy-in so that they can start kind of mandating that and incenting that to the different teams. The bottoms-up approach is definitely more organic and definitely a lot easier to get off the ground, which is get the immediate team that you're working with on board with you and have them demonstrate what it is like to start this process and start working accessibility into the workflows. The kind of business case that's really, I think, important to make is that remediation always costs more than doing it right the first time. Because you will have gone through the initial design and build and launch process, and then you have to go back and do it again. Whereas if you do it from the beginning every time, you're going to along the along the curve, really save a lot of time. So starting to talk the talk in business terms for executives is one angle, and then just starting to do it is the grounds up approach.
We have time for one more question. Anyone in the front?
I don't know if everyone else can hear me, but I'll try and project.
Mike.
Never mind. Hi. This is specifically for you, Jay. I'm an educator, and you are absolutely right about the college degree not being everything that, or or where they went to college being everything that companies need, but it's definitely a systemic mindset that both those who are applying and companies fall prey to. How do you try and address that with both of those parties when you are trying to, like, I guess, bridge that gap?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to not make it like this versus that, right? It's not a debate about the merits of a four-year degree because there's value in the marketplace. It's about the precision that needs to exist within the labor market to determine what roles actually require those skills. And look, I think what will happen as we move forward is our economy will be much more competency and skills based. And it really needs to be a both and conversation to say, how is it that we can get people attached to the labor market as quickly as possible, then consume skills so they can continue to build their resume and skill set and portfolio, which may include a four-year degree along the way. So I think it's this false dichotomy of workforce versus education that we got to break that mindset and to say that everybody should have access to a four-year degree if that's what they choose. Everyone should also have the dignity to be able to choose what it is they want to do, whether it is to go to work, go to school, or do both simultaneously. And I think a lot of that is just, trying to raise awareness. It's a proxy for talent, a four-year degree. I think it's an overly blunt proxy. And so how is it that we can be much more precise about what you're looking for at Zendesk or at Blend or at AirBnB, because that not necessarily a four-year degree is going to capture everything. So it's a lot of work. What's encouraging to me, and I know we're going to wrap up, is that you're starting to see companies that are removing their four-year degree requirement because they're developing tools to assess talent more precisely. And I think that's really encouraging because it opens up more possibilities for sure. And it sends a good signal to young people. One of the things that disturbs me is that we've set it up to say that everybody has to have a four-year degree. And so you watch how many young people are amassing thousands and thousands of dollars of debt, and they're not going towards a career because they don't know what that's leading to. They're supposed to go do that. And so they should know why they're going, and it should be mapped directly to a job. That is economic and social justice if that occurs. So the signals need to be much more clear from employers saying exactly what skills they're looking for, and then our educational system needs to be much more nimble in responding to what those signals are, and that's, to me, how it gets fixed.
We're unfortunately out of time, but yeah, let's give our panelists a round of applause.